My name is Juliana, and also with me is Tanya Finchum. We're with the Oklahoma State University Library, Oklahoma Oral History Research Program, and today we're interviewing Kristin Parra as part of our Circus Oral History Project with a focus on occupations here in Hugo, Oklahoma. It's Saturday, November 19th, 2011. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
Let's begin by learning a little more about you. Could you tell us the year you were born and where you were born?
I was born right here in Hugo, Oklahoma in 1975.
Okay. And could you talk a little bit about growing up?
Well, growing up for me was very different from most of my friends because I grew up on the circus. We were raised on the circus. We traveled with it from when we were first born. And so that was very unique and fun. We got to see lots of places and meet different people, and it was just a really unique way to grow up. And I don't know.
Can you recall your earliest circus memory?
I remember, like, from a very young age, like riding the elephant in the parade, and when we were younger, we started off with like swinging ladder was our act that we did as young children. Those were all early memories. I was probably about 6 or 7 when that took place.
And as you're growing up, you start with swinging ladder. What were some of the other acts that you started gravitating towards?
I wasn't I didn't like to do heights, so I kind of stayed on the ground and I worked with the animals. I rode horses and elephants, and then I learned to juggle. I wasn't very good, but they let me do it anyway.
And so, what was it like growing up on the lot as a child?
It was like a big playground, actually. I mean, there's always kids to play with. There's always new things to see. You can't get into much trouble because there's always 100 people, watching you and looking out for you too. So that's always a good thing. Just a lot of fun. I remember it, a lot of fun, actually.
And would you return back to Hugo to go to school?
Yes. We stayed out on the circus until I was in 6th grade. And then my sister and I would come home and live with my grandparents. And we went to school then from 7th grade on through high school, the whole year here in Hugo.
Okay. And was the Hugo community welcoming towards circus people?
The Hugo community has always been very open arms, very welcoming to us, has always been very good with us. The school part of it also, they let us, take our books with us, and we would get to work out of them during the year, and then we would come back and not have a problem and be able to get to go back into school. And so Hugo's always been real wonderful to be with us and stuff.
And growing up, did you spend much time with your grandparents?
I did. We were very fortunate that we got to live with them here in the house growing up, and then when we got older and they stayed home with us, and my parents went out on the circus and they stayed home with us and let us go to school all year long. So very, very fortunate that we got to live in the house with them and be around them as much as we did.
Did you get to design or create some of your own costumes?
No, I was never in the wardrobe department. I don't know how both my granny and my mother both were excellent seamstresses, and I just never got the niche of it. I don't know. I never was taught that aspect of it.
Well, as you're growing up, is there an aspect of the business that you were gravitating towards more than others?
I wasn't really a performer, at heart. We performed growing up, as I said earlier, but I've gravitated towards the animal part of it, and then I work in the office, is where I have found my place in the circus business. So.
When you say work with the animals, what does that entail?
I'm in charge of the like getting all the animal permits and making sure the paperwork is all up to date on all of them, which is a full-time job. Also, I do like, if there's a vet that needs to come out, I'll walk around with the vet and do the inspections, or if there's a USDA or local humane society, I'll do the inspections with those as well.
So you travel with the show then during the
Yes.
during
Uh-huh.
do some of that?
And then in the off season, where do you spend your time in the business?
There's so much paperwork and that has to be done. I don't think anybody can really truly imagine how much paperwork has to be done in the wintertime, and that's where I kind of fall into. So the boring side of circus business, but yet a very important part of it. So
During the winter months, you might work 8 to 2, or is it an 8-hour a day?
we get there somewhere around between 8 and 9, and we're generally there until about 5. So
Much shorter days than when you're out on the road.
it's probably about the same hours. They're just split up different. You know, on the road, I have to be in the office from 9 to 12, but then I'm off from 12 to 3, and then I have to go back in at 3, like 3 to 5, and then I'll go back at 6 to whenever we finish. So it's basically the same hours. You're just split up different, and the scheduling is different.
Well, when you're out on the road, can you take me through just a typical day?
Sure. We generally get up around, I'm one of the last ones to get up. I'm not a morning person, so I like to leave towards the end of the caravan there. I'll typically get up around 6:30, drive my truck and trailer over the road. We average about 60 miles a day. Set up, get the kids fed and dressed and ready for the day, and then I'll go to the office and meet with the host, who is our sponsoring the circus. It might be a Lions Cub or a Kiwanis Cub or whoever that might be, and I will meet with them and we'll settle up on their ticket sales, and then I'll do some office work till around noon, and then generally my husband's finished at that time, so we'll get the kids together and go eat lunch or something, and then the kids then normally have to start school. So we get them in school, and we have a little downtime then. And then around 3 or 3:30, I'm back in the office, and that's when we're selling tickets, and I'm setting up the ticket sellers and making sure everybody's accounted for. We get a dinner break around 5, and back in around 6 or 6:30 to do it again for the second show, and then we'll settle everything up and make sure our accounting all balances and call it a night. So I finish around 9 o'clock, 8:39, somewhere in there.
Do you eat in the cookhouse, or do you cook your own meals?
I'm not a cook, so we eat a lot in the cookhouse. Sometimes we'll go out off the lot at lunch, just because we have a little more time there, and then eat in the cookhouse at the night meal. So, and then also if it makes it sound like we're constantly doing something all the time, but if we do have like some downtime in between 12 or 3, and if there's something neat in the town that, a museum or something fun for the kids to do, then we'll load them up and go try and do that. So they get to see where they're going and where they've been, and so it's a neat experience for them also.
Well, do you have a favorite city, a favorite venue you like to go to?
When I was younger, one of my all-time favorite cities to play was Sheboygan, Wisconsin, but we haven't played it here recently. But we used to play it right by the beach, and the tent would be set up right there by the water. And I don't know, I always loved Sheboygan, so that would probably be one of my favorites.
Least favorites? Probably shouldn't say.
Least favorite? I can't. Really, I mean, it depends, if you have bad weather, if the lot's under mud, or, that kind of plays into what would be a least favorite. But as far as like just a city I don't want to go to, I don't have that. But
So for us towners,
Mhm.
what are some circus charms we may not be familiar with?
circus terms.
Mhm.
We have Donikers, that's our restrooms. The garbage stand is what we call the novelty stand, where we sell our novelties. You guys are familiar with Cookhouse, I see. We also have the pie car where you can go and buy a soda pop or a cheeseburger if you don't like what they're serving in Cookhouse. Let's see. The White Elephant is the pumper truck that comes out and pumps our restrooms. We call it the White Elephant. So there's some different terms that we still use, but unfortunately, most of the circus lingo has been kind of lost a little bit over the generations. So that's kind of a sad aspect of it.
The truth we weren't familiar with until we started this. Do you actually get to go into the stands and watch the show?
I try to see a little bit of it. I don't watch as much as like my sister can or my mom, because I'm in the office more. But I try to watch a little bit of it every once in a while, just to remind me why I'm doing it and what we're out there for. So.
And do your children watch it?
They watch it every once in a while. They'll sit through it a couple times and then not watch it for several days, and then come back in and watch it a little later. But
when you do watch, do you have a favorite part?
I've always loved the elephants. They've always been my favorite, and the flying trapeze. I've always liked that. I'm not real fond of cat acts, but we don't have anyone. We don't have a cat act this year, so I don't have to watch that one. But
did you ever dream of being like the ringmaster or something like that when you were a child?
Not really. Like I said, I performed. I did, work with it, but I didn't have a really just strong desire to be in there all the time, and that it just wasn't my personality, and so.
You went to college?
I did.
Where'd you go?
I went to Texas Christian University at Fort Worth.
Okay. And did you ever think that you wanted to continue in the circus business, or did you want to try another area?
I always knew that I wanted to continue in the circus. My parents were very good. They never forced us to be in it. They said, you can go do whatever you want to do, go to college and get a doctor's degree if you want to be a doctor. But I always wanted to come back and be a part of the circus. That was never a question.
So what is your degree in?
My degree is actually in Spanish with a minor in business.
Fits this pretty well then.
So,
Did you learn Spanish as a youth growing up?
I think I learned it probably very badly. Broken Spanish here and there. And then it was my major in college, and then also my husband's from Mexico. So that helped also my developing my Spanish skills, which still aren't very, I can get the point across, but it's not perfect Spanish by any means. So.
But probably pretty handy in communicating.
Yes, I mean, we can have a conversation. It's not going to be, textbook Spanish by any.
Well, what do you like most about your work in the circus?
My work at the circus, or actually like being a part of the circus?
Both.
My work in the circus, I love being with the animals, being a part of that. I have a strong passion for the elephants, and I love that part of it. Being in the circus, I love the fact that my family's together, that we're traveling, and my kids are getting to see different parts of the country, and we got to see all the parts of the country. And I can say I've seen every national park from the east to the west and everything in between. So, and it is a learning experience. I mean, you learn to appreciate that stuff more, than just learning about it in a book and stuff. You get to see the Grand Canyon, and you're like taken back by it, and so I like that part of it.
Favorite part?
Favorite part?
Favorite part of the circus?
Favorite part of the circus? Probably the traveling.
Mm-hmm.
just being able to see new places and not knowing what's in store for you that day. You know, what that town's going to be like, if the people are going to come out all excited and watch the tent go up, or that unknown aspect of it too is a draw.
A favorite memory of your grandmother and grandfather?
Well, one of my favorite memories with my grandfather, he put me on his lap. I was only about 7 or 8 years old, and he let me steer the car coming onto the lot, and he laid down on the seat, and so I got to be a big shot and thought I was driving the car, you know, and I pulled up, and I was excited by that. And my granny, just her favorite memories with my granny. I don't know, it's a hard one to call. She was just a sweet, very unique lady who we just loved to be around, and she was quiet but funny, and no, I have to think of that one.
Did she cook for you?
Did she
Cook.
She was a very good cook. Her and my mom both, and that's another talent I didn't get from them, so I don't know what happened there. I don't cook and I don't sew, so anyway, but she was a very good cook.
Well, you've seen many different parts of the country, yet you call Hugo home. Why is that?
Well, I guess, I mean, that's where my family's always been, but we love Hugo. It's the right size of town for us. We don't have the hustle and the bustle of the big cities, and I feel like the community is very open to the circus and to the circus people, and so I graduated from high school here, and my kids go to school here, and we just love Hugo.
Circus life all the way around.
That's it.
Well, where do you see the future of the circus going?
Well, that's a hard question. We'd like to see it, you know, continue for generations to come, and it is getting harder to play circus. There's more regulations and more red tape out there, but I still think that the general public has a strong desire for circuses, and I think it still has a great purpose in communities all across the United States. So
Mostly smaller towns.
mostly smaller towns. We like to be the main event when we come into town. We don't like a lot of competition. You know, you get in bigger cities. We like to pull into an empty field and let the magic of the circus evolve, and you know, a couple hours later we're ready to perform, and then you know we leave as we came, and that kind of leaves the awe of the circus in the people's minds, and so that's always a unique part of it and the fun part of it.
It's magical.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close out today?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you'd like to tell or share?
I can't think of anything.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.